All right, everybody, welcome back to Fright Film Freaks, episode number 2. I'm here with my boy Steven. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, John?
Fucking back at it, right?
Absolutely.
Today, we are talking what everybody seems to be talking about right now. Um, what I believe is going to be an Oscar-worthy movie,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
Nosferatu 2024. We both just saw it over the weekend, so it's only been out for a couple of days here. Came out on Christmas Day. uh, Directed by Robert Eggers. Uh, so with this movie, then you have The Witch, you got The Lighthouse, you got The Northman. So I mean, all period pieces. You know what I mean? All set back in the day. The Viking or the Northman is more of like a, I wouldn't call it a fantasy, but it was, it's more, that one's more folklore, and then the same with, they're all kind of more folklore movies, really. Um, but all older period pieces, which seems to be his go-to,
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see many of his films. I did see The Witch, but
which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
yeah, man, that one really I was very disappointed. I actually was in an airplane when I watched that, and
Yeah,
I just
that's a tough one
I
to
know
watch on an airplane.
I know, man, and but I still enjoyed it. I need to revisit it, man. But that one, I mean, he got my attention from that one alone. So
Yeah, and that was basically his debut movie. He had done some short films before that, but that was kind of his kind of skyrocketed him into the genre, you know what I mean? And then when he did The Northman, that was more like an adventure fantasy movie. And then The Lighthouse was just batshit crazy. I don't know if you ever saw that one, but it was
no, I didn't.
crazy.
I'll have to add it to my list now.
Dude, just a wild movie. Also based on folklore, you know what I mean? So, and he's one of my favorites, man, because he's from New England. He always does these weird, you know, old school looking movies, which I love. Um, and what I noticed right off the bat with this film was, and he did the same thing with The Witch, is he used all natural lighting. He didn't use like set lights, and you could tell because every scene in this um, movie was pretty dark. And then the only light you really had was either fire or candle flame or, regular daylight or moonlight. Um, so in such a cool idea. He always likes to keep it like historically accurate. So he tries to use as least amount of um, fake light as possible. You know what I mean? Which made the movie look beautiful. And by the way, no, this is a um, spoiler-free review. So don't
No
worry.
spoilers. No
And
spoilers.
I'll probably put this at the beginning of the video too, just so people know we're not going to spoil anything for you.
Yes.
We are going to talk about some stuff, but it's not going to be anything that's going to spoil the plot or what he, looks like, that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, so give me your first thoughts on this movie, man.
So, you know, right away everybody was saying that this is going to be the great movie. This is going to be the movie. And so I was hoping personally that it wasn't all hype. So I wanted to go in. I didn't really see anything about this movie. I just wanted to go in to be completely surprised. I mean, I only knew the director, and then I knew Billy was playing Old Count, and I
Yeah.
didn't know anybody else about the cast. I just wanted to go in with a clean slate, and man, it knocked my socks off, bro. It was amazing, bro.
Yeah, yeah. Same here, man. Well, I had told you, you know what I mean? I've been waiting for this movie for a long time because back after he did The Northman, they had kind of come out and said that they got the rights to do Nosferatu. And I had told my wife before this, I was like, man, he would be such a great director to do a remake of something like Nosferatu or any of the old Universal monster movies. Just
Mm.
by seeing The Witch and The Lighthouse and then what he could do with The Northman with a bigger budget, I was like, this is that's gonna be his calling card is these retellings of these old tales that we had. Nosferatu, the original's 1922, I think. It's an
Yeah.
old movie that which we don't always like. Horror fans don't always like remakes, but there are some movies out there that are just outdated, and the kids these days and fans these genre fans these days just haven't watched those movies because they're just out. I mean, the 1922 version is a silent film. It's just music, just has a symphony. They call it the Symphony of Horror, I think, or something like that. Um, and so, those types of movies need a retelling. And it had a remake in 79, which like still still old, you know what I mean? Still, over 40 years ago. So it was about time, and he was the perfect director to do this. I loved it. I thought it was great. Um, and the biggest thing that stood out to me were two things. It was the set pieces. Every set they had, whether it was old Germany or old Transylvania, old Romania, everything looked beautiful. And then the acting was incredible. I don't know if there was one bad actor in this movie or one
I
even
was just about,
bad, nothing was bad about it.
yeah, man. I was just gonna, I had like that in my notes, like every actor just brought their A game, man. I mean,
I mean,
the
Lily
main
Rose Depp was
actress,
unbelievable, dude.
yes, she just knocked it out of the park, man. Everybody did, man.
Mhm.
Everybody just, and I guess that's what a good director does, man. He brings the best out of everyone. So, I
Yeah, and
mean,
he hasn't worked with Bill Skarsgård yet, but he worked with Skarsgård's brother in The Northman. He's worked with Willem Dafoe, whose character was incredible in this movie. He's worked with him on The Lighthouse and The Northman. So he's kind of going back with, these actors that he likes to work with, that like to work with him.
it's what
And
normally
then
directors do too, right? So,
yeah, they find their comfort zone because it could be a little, directors can be a little like, hey, I need it. It's hard to be like, hey, I need it done this way. And if someone disagrees with it, it could be hard to like work with those people. You know what I mean? When you're trying to get a certain vision across. So when you can find people that you're comfortable with, that's the way to go.
yeah, I actually read that he actually directed a high school play, I want to say, in Nosferatu.
Yeah, Nosferatu. Yeah.
Man, and how cool would that be? Like, your like high school homies and your buddy just makes this flipping film that you guys did back in the day, and then he just makes like the best vampire movie we've seen in what,
Seriously,
like 30, 40 years now. I
for
mean, good
sure.
Lord. This was long overdue, man. This movie was just incredible. Um, I mean, I think he just hit it like on all bases. I mean, it's just,
Yeah, he
I mean, it's
followed.
hard
I
to
mean,
like talk about it without, like I don't want to slip anything out that where
right.
someone would call a spoiler, but I mean, everything from, like you said, like just the lighting was very natural, the scenery, the shots.
Mhm.
Man, we won't even talk about Obilia's, the
Oh my
count, man,
God.
because
Looked like the only thing I'll say about him is like he looked different. You know what I mean? Like he if people are going in thinking he's gonna look like that iconic Nosfer like Count Orlok, like he looks more historically accurate to like an old Romanian dude, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just looks out of this world cool. And then obviously very like dead looking and things like that, which I read interviews with him where he was like, yeah, I wanted to be historically accurate of what vampires looked like when they were being, you know, the, when you because it's technically Nosferatu's based on Bram Stoker's Dracula, the novel. It was one of the first adaptations of the movie of the book, but back then they didn't call that. You wouldn't be like based on Bram Stoker's not Dracula. You know what I mean? The original director and writer read the book and then wanted to basically do a retelling as a film. So it has a lot of similarities to Dracula, a lot of them,
Oh yeah.
including the boat ride over and stuff like that. So if you're a fan of Dracula as well and you haven't even seen the old Nosferatu, you'll still really enjoy this movie because it has a lot of those elements from Dracula in it. And but he looked just every time he was on screen, dude, he was a force. Like from the beginning to the end, I was like, this dude is like I didn't even blink every time he had screen time. It was just like I was glued to the screen, man.
His voice alone was
Oh,
eerie. You know what I mean? I don't even think I think like they didn't even have to show him. He did just could have him talking in the shadows the whole time.
yeah.
Man, like he nailed it. And from what I hear and were read, that that was no like voice changing at all. That was all Billy. You know, like his natural voice.
And that makes sense because you got to remember, I mean, he played Pennywise where he changed his voice a lot for that, contorted his face a little bit. So the only thing I would say that they did to his voice at all was like throw some reverb on it to kind of make it echo, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But they didn't change any tone or octave that he was in. He just did that all himself. And he came out in an interview and was like, I can't play a character like this ever again. He's like, I just got completely wiped out from it because he when you play those types of roles, it's like you completely lose who you are a little bit, you know what I mean, while you're filming because you can't slip up and like not to mention he's speaking in like a Transylvanian accent and he's speaking a different language sometimes. So it's like you have to hit everything on the head in order to make that as scary and as authentic as it was.
you know, as far as in we were talking about how the movie was based on Bram Stoker's Dracula. I just actually learned today that they almost like Bram Stoker's wife went to court about this back in the day, and the court ordered to just destroy Nosferatu.
Really.
And luckily, they kept some copies here and there. And I mean, we almost we were almost never went without seeing this. For that film never saw the light of day back in 1922.
Right.
So it's crazy, like how that how history works, and like here we are now, with this flipping amazing film, launching on Christmas Day. They only release like big hitters on Christmas Day at the theater, and man, this one was a big hitter, man. So
Right. And it technically is a Christmas movie. I mean, you see a Christmas tree in the back of there. They talk about it Christmas Day coming up. Like, so it was kind of the right move, you know what I mean? But yeah, it has to be an absolute blockbuster to be dropped on Christmas Day to make money that first weekend, you know what I mean? And I mean, Oscar worthy in my opinion from a lot of different angles.
yes,
I think Lily Rose Depp should win one. For best actress or whatever, but like she
hands
prob
down.
she probably won't because let's be honest, it's hard for a horror movie to win any type of Oscar. Just doesn't happen very often. It's happened like a couple times in the whole history of the Oscars. And second is like she's not I don't feel like she's in the club yet. You know what I mean? And I don't even care about movies winning Oscars. It's fine. It's cool when they do, especially if it's a horror movie, but like you got to be like part of the cool kids club to win one. You know what I mean? Because like
Yeah,
I mean, some movies get shut out completely, and you're like, wow, okay, they didn't even give them a chance. They weren't even, looked at. And this might be one of those movies where they're like, I'm hoping that they're like they just absolutely cannot deny it. I'm hoping that the numbers are big enough where they're like, well, okay, we have to look at this film as, something that's kind of, breaking the mold on a lot of different things here, especially like the set, the cinematography. I mean, the screenplay itself, the dialogue,
the makeup,
the
you know.
makeup. I mean, all of it is just incredible, and it's gonna get hurt because of like how dark it is and how like genuinely scary it is. Not, I think a lot of people will go into it and be like, this isn't a very scary movie, and it's like, well. Because I think people think about that with like slow burns. They don't like love slow burns because they're just like they feel like they get put to sleep. But it's like it reminds me of The Exorcist where it's like the dialogue itself, the images on screen itself are terrifying.
We're
And
used to today's like horror movies being like, like everyone wants like that jump scare, where this one's storytelling, and like it's a true like, eerie
yeah,
story. And
and
from
it's
start to finish, man, it just it like it captured my attention. and the theater that we saw it in was sold out. And you know, in most horror movies, you always have those one or two people always, you know, talking or making comments. The whole theater was silent for the whole movie. And
Absolutely.
I mean, that movie's what, 2.5 hours? I mean, it's a
Yeah,
long movie, you
it's
know.
definitely a
So
long movie. And it's also like, yeah, I went at Saturday, I went to a matinee. I went at 2:30 in the afternoon and it was nearly sold out, which is like almost impossible for any movie on the weekend after Christmas, in the afternoon. Usually doesn't happen. And there were a lot of people in there. I saw a guy walking, I was getting popcorn next to him. He had a Count Orlok tattoo on his hand and shit. I was like, I was wearing my shirt. I was like, okay, so there's some fans here, you know what I mean? People have been waiting for this type of movie to come out where it's just that you just feel it. It's that old school like masterpiece of a story that like needed another retelling, you know what I mean? It needed to be told again because it's that good. And with a lot of like the monster movies nowadays, it's all about like, fast pace, blood, guts, it's a lot of CGI, and you didn't get like any of that in this film. Maybe obviously a little CGI with, the backdrops of the old town and stuff like this in the castle, maybe that kind of stuff, but nothing to where you were like, because like real rats were used in this, and there's a lot, I don't think that'll be a spoiler because it's all through the trailer, but like there's a lot of rats in this film, and there's no CGI rats. It's like fucking 10,000 rats, and you're like, holy shit. Because let's be honest, you put CGI rats in there, might take you out of those scenes a little bit,
yeah, I think
But
that they said over 2,000 rats were used in that film.
something, dude, it's a lot of rats.
I like it. That's a good number of rats to use.
Dude, it was a lot.
What would you rate it out of five pumpkins?
Five,
5 out of
five,
five?
five for sure.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, this movie was everything I want in a horror movie.
I would. I give it a 4 out of 5. Nothing
Yep.
against the movie. I just want to say 4 out of 5. It was near perfect for me. I loved it. It was great that we finally got a great vampire movie. You know, I can't even recall the last really good vampire movie that we got.
Right. I love this movie. It's probably, I haven't put together my list of top movies in 2024 yet, so I'm trying to think of where it will land. It could be one for me. It could be two. I doubt it'll go to three, but it's up there for me. And I'm going to do that this week to try to put that together since we're coming into the new year. But
Oh yeah, we're gonna need to see that list, John.
yeah,
That's
yeah, oh,
actually
it's
a really
coming
good
out.
idea. Maybe I'll do something like that too.
Yeah, it's coming out, man. And yeah, it's this movie's gonna make its rounds for a long time. So I'm excited. We'll probably revisit it at some point here on Fright Film Freaks. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments what you thought. If you have seen it, if you haven't seen it, you can still listen to this, obviously, and tell us what you think once you do go see it. If you didn't like it, tell us what you didn't like about it. Don't put any spoilers in the comments, please. Keep those out. Let people enjoy the movie. That's one thing I really hate is when this blockbuster of a movie comes out for us horror fans, and then people just go right on social media and they just post everything about it. I hate that so much. So keep it to yourself, but let us know if you liked it. Give us what your uh, what your rating is.
Yeah,
Tell us
let
what you
us.
liked about a movie. Everything like that.
Yeah, let us know. Give us a 5 out of 5 pumpkin rating,
Yeah.
right? If it's a one, two, three, four, or five, let us know.
Exactly, exactly. Much more content coming, more episodes of Fright Film Freaks coming. We're probably gonna do another one. Um, well, we're almost out of December here, so we'll definitely have one for January as well.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
we'll have one for our January movie of the month. We'll pick on New Year's Eve. New
yeah,
year, new movie. So
yeah,
got a lot of good suggestions for that one. So can't wait to see which one gets randomly selected.
and I'm sure we'll pick that we'll pick that soon, and then we'll probably put another episode out pretty soon. So this was episode 2. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you all later.